Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning back in. Glad you can come back. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. I have a question for you. Is it better to have bad parents over not having parents at all? Um, what I would say is, what is it that you really want to do? Right? What is the environment that you want to have around your kids, or what environment do you want to have you or your woman, or whatever the case may be. What is it that you want to be in, the kind of environment that you want to be in. Would you rather be respected, or would you rather have peace? um, Peace in, i I guess, knowing that you're not alone. But then again, how can you really have peace if there's constant chaos with bad parents? um, and so the thing to think about too is that when you don't have parents, there's not really a whole lot to lean on. Um, and that can create a lot of anxiety for people. Um, so ultimately, I would say, as someone who has had both bad parents and no parents at all now, I would much rather have no parents at all. Um, Now, of course, that's just having to choose either one. I would love to have great parents. I would, but I don't have that option. I don't have that choice. Um, and so a lot of us out there don't have that choice. And so which choice do you make, right? And I would wager that it's really depending on case by case. Um, and depending on what you're willing to put up with, you may choose to ultimately have this parent that may not be the best for you in your life, rather than having no parent at all. I know quite a few people like that. Um, and I've had to tell this guy. I mean, he's not in my life anymore, but um, I've had to tell this guy, look, you got to cut these people out. They don't care about you. His father specifically didn't care about him at all. And that was very apparent. Um, uh, why 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 would you want to keep yourself in that environment? You know what I'm saying? Um, I wouldn't. Not at all. Um, it's been well over a decade since the last time I even spoke to my father, and it's been a couple of years, really, since I actually had a conversation with my mother. Um, well, a year or two, couple years, anyways. Um, don't get me wrong. I love my mother. Um, I do believe she did the best that she could for me. Um, I believe I will always love my mother, but you know, it's better for me if she's out of my life. Um, for those of you who've been with the channel for a while, you would know that I had a falling out with my mother a while ago. Um, and what I haven't told you guys about just yet is my father. Um, Now, I'm one of the typical cases. of father abandonment. My father was a he was an abusive man. He was also a drug addict and an alcoholic. Um, the first memory, well, no, I have talked about him a little bit, but I haven't talked about him a whole lot. Uh, but I'll go ahead and continue. Um, the first memory I have of my father is overdosing on whatever drug he was. I think it was cocaine at the time, or maybe meth. Either way, I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that that is not only the first memory I have of him, but the first memory I have in general. Um, I can imagine just how traumatic that would be to someone who wasn't even a year old yet. Um, and I remember it so vividly. Um, I mean, as I'm replaying it in my head now, hell, I remember the convulsing. I remember the foaming. Um, and I remember the fear. I remember the fear. And so that's a sort of trauma I don't think you can ever really forget. Now, it doesn't really affect me so much today, but um, obviously it does a little bit because I can still remember it, right? Um, or it, apparently it still affects me in some way, um, but not so much as to really bother me a lot. Um, but yes, he was very abusive, in many different ways. Oftentimes, and this is coming from my mother, so I don't know, what's true and what isn't. But what I have been told is that um, he would take us, my little brother and I at the time. I was 2, I think he was 1, um, or maybe I was just a little older than 1. Anyways, around 1 or 2, and my brother was a year or 2 behind me. And he would take us to strangers' places, to you know um, do drugs, and oftentimes he would play us off as his nephews. And so um, that obviously, um, that did something to me a while ago. Not so much really now. I've already accepted it, um, and I moved on from it. But I and the last thing that I heard of him, he was going to prison for falsifying documentations and scamming people. So that was a few years ago, I believe. And so, you know, I don't believe that he's changed really. Um, and so maybe your parent isn't as bad as that. Maybe your parent is um, maybe passive aggressive with you. Maybe um, maybe they only call you for something when they want something. Um, and every now and then they'll do something for you just to keep you close to them. Um, that is the case for a lot of different people. Um, and a lot of people are afraid of losing maybe that one parent or the last parent. Maybe you've been through my situation where maybe the father or the mother was on drugs and they left. Um, and so I both parents at a time were on drugs at a point in time. Uh, the thing is, my mother, she eventually got off of that stuff, and I really applaud her for kicking that habit, because she had my brother and I in mind, and so I do respect that about her. And I do believe that she did try again. That she did. her best. But here recently, um, the reason why I don't really talk to her anymore is because um, as I was finding a new place for myself, which is this house that I have now, um, in between um, getting ready to leave and moving in, which was a span of a couple of weeks, I was like, kicked out by her. There was a conversation that we had had, and it's a conversation that I didn't really want to have um, because at the time I wanted to keep my distance, and then even more so when I moved into my place. But that didn't happen ultimately because uh, she wanted to have this conversation. And so I just snapped and I brought my mother and I brought her husband into the kitchen. We sat down and I talked to them like they were children. The reason I talked to them like they were children was because I had lived there for a year already and I have a female dog. And this female dog was constantly harassed by my mom's husband's dog, which who was male, and this dog was aggressive. Um, this dog would attack and he would bite, and he would bite everybody. He wouldn't just bite me, but the only person that he didn't bite was the youngest one, uh, my little sister. And you know, after an entire year of that, um, finally had about enough of it, and so you know, uh, that that whole conversation happened. They didn't like the conversation. They felt that they deserved a little bit more respect than that, which I can kind of understand. But at the same time, what else, what other recourse was I supposed to do? Um, Especially for someone who wasn't in control of his emotions as well as I am now. Um, so yeah, I just got triggered, just snapped, and I wasn't yelling at them, wasn't screaming at them, but I I was even censoring myself, which was weird. But I wasn't nice about it either, and so that uh, because of that, she thought it was the right course of action to remove me from the house. Now she owns the house, her and her husband both, and they can make their own decisions. But decisions come with consequences too, or I should say, actions come with consequences. And so after I was kicked out, the reason I was kicked out was because there was a conflict between her and her husband at the time, and they really had to repair a lot of things, and so that gave me some insight there that she removed me from the situation to fix her marriage, which you know both sides I can understand, but at the same time, I'm looking at it from the son's perspective. So, um, you know, when your son has nowhere else to go, especially since when I called my brother goes off on me for wondering what's going on. I'm not going to go there either. And so, one of my coworkers was very gracious enough to take me in for that 2 week period, and that's the last time I spoke to my mother. Now, you may not have toxic parents like that. Um, but or as toxic, I would say. Maybe they're a lot more tolerable. Maybe they do, shitty things every once in a while, and that's a lot more manageable, understandable. So I guess I can really understand how you would want to keep them around, but at the same time, if you have parents who have done the same things like this, uh, you're better off just having no parents at all. The good thing about not having any parents, it's not because you can just eat chocolate cake in the morning and at night. um, but it it's it's ultimately because you don't have that you don't have that toxicity around you. You're not in that toxic environment. You can finally breathe. And I think, I definitely think there's peace in that. But on the other side too is as we're going through life, there are things that we haven't figured out quite yet that we would really like answers to our questions. Now, I can definitely go to my grandparents, and I know my grandparents would have well, I mean, they would have their own answer. Um, but definitely from a perspective of quite a few decades above my mother's generation, obviously. And so, not saying that it's not information that I could use because it definitely is for sure. Um, but it's kind of different going to the grandparents than it is to the parent, right? Because there's a hierarchy. You understand? The son goes to the father, right? The father goes to the grandfather, right? It's it's just that connection that you have with your parent that you don't necessarily have with your grandparents, and vice versa. So you kind of missing out. Now I do have more connections with my grandfather because him and I are both veterans, and there are quite a few things that both him and I can relate to. And so, a lot of the times I do go to him because obviously my father was not a veteran, a veteran in a veteran in conviction, I would say. um, but um, those are pretty much the only you know parental figures I can go to now. So that would be the downside, though, is not really having someone that you can lean on for that parental guide. Obviously, some of you are out there, I should say, that may not have grandparents, and you have walked away from your parents because of how toxic they are. Maybe you've been through some of the same things that I have, and you've realized that it's better to be in an environment where you're away from these bad parents. And so I would definitely agree with you. Um, and the my question to you was, how would you go about um, seeking out that parental figure? You know, is it something that you would want to become yourself? Is it through that way, or maybe finding an older friend that you can see as a father figure? You know, someone that you can trust that is um, that does provide a healthy environment for you to learn and grow. Um, Maybe not necessarily in their footsteps, but um, using the information they give you to forge your own footsteps, right? So ultimately, I think even though there's uncertainty with no parents, there is a way to find, right, a healthy parental figure. um, that gives you a little bit of that certainty. Because there are people out there, maybe they've been adopted, or maybe they've found some kind of parental figure that is okay with taking on that role for them. Um, but ultimately, as men, we thrive in that uncertain environment. And so, even though it affects me every now and then to not have those parents in my life, I still see it as an overall positive because I have my peace. Um, and I have room, I have the freedom, the room to forge my own path without being, I guess, oversaw, maybe. Um, I don't know if you have helicopter parents at all, but uh, I know, I know, some people can really be smothered by helicopter parents, and that can go south pretty quickly too. Um, but sometimes helicopter parents do mean well, and I'm sure most of them just want the best for their children. Uh, again, case by case scenarios. Um, but I'm specifically talking about unhealthy parents, and so it's kind of a big question mark for me. Um, it it is, but at the same time, I would still much rather have no parents at all. So I don't know. There are some pros, there's some cons. But at the same time, I'm going to value my self respect, my peace, and the freedom to forge my own path the way that I see fit. Um, and find older men. No, I mean, and depending on who they are, older women, uh, for advice if I happen to have any. Um, and I've already found a couple of guys that can give me advice on certain things. But ultimately, I'm going to value that over the, I guess, comfort and security of a parent and any kind of parent in my life. Um, well, who's blood related, obviously, um, or maybe adopted. Maybe people get adopted into bad families. It happens, right? It's reality. Sometimes things happen, right? But I can imagine it would be harder for adopted children to let go of adopted parents. Um, I can understand that absolutely. But at the same time, and I would say the future is more of a question mark, more than what I understand it to be now. Because sure, I value my peace, I value my freedom, um, to forge my own life the way I see fit. But what about the future? Because eventually I'll have kids, or I would like to. And so, would I want to bring my woman around them? Would I want to bring my kids around them? And I still wouldn't. Now, if the other side of the family, if my woman's side of the family is a healthy family, I wouldn't mind that one bit. Not at all. Um, but not around my mother, not around my father, especially not around my father. And so that's why the question mark is kind of there. At a point in time, do you watch someone and give them another chance, um, or is it the one and done? I'm typically a one and done kind of guy. Once you do something bad enough to me, when I cut you off, I'm not coming back. Um, but there's an interesting thought that one of my former friends had told me, and he said, you may they for my mother, she may have messed up really bad, uh, but I think it's really good that if she were to pass away, that you would be there for her when she does. And that's something I think, um, I may not be able to live with if I wasn't there for her when she did. Uh, but at the same time, I do stand pretty firm on my word. And when I say I'm done with someone, I'm done with somebody. It doesn't matter who they are. And so, you know, don't know what the future holds. That's why it's uncertain, and that's why there's a huge question mark there. So let me know what you guys think. I think it's an interesting topic for sure. Um, and hopefully I was able to give you guys some insight. And if I did, please like, share, subscribe. Um, it's a lot to think about. I do think it's a lot to think about, and um, I would I want to know what you guys are thinking, because uh, this is something I've been wondering for a little bit now, and I would definitely like some information on this. I would definitely like some help for sure. So anything you guys can think of, please let me know, and we'll go from there. So, but that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. Um, Make sure that you are taking care of yourselves. Please do. Absolutely. Please do. Both mind and body. Okay. It took a little bit of motivation to get to the gym. I had a quite a day today. I got into an accident on the way to an interview. Wasn't really much of an accident. No one got injured or anything like that. Very minor damage, but it still held me up. But I still went into the interview, and I would say the interview went well. Just a little part time job to help me out, and um, unfortunately, I couldn't help a man that a homeless man that needed help. Um, when he first came up to me, I was like, oh crap, here we go. But it seemed like a a good guy, but he was in a hard spot, and I couldn't really do a whole lot to help him. So, but a very interesting day for sure. But I mean, I think it went all right after that. Came back home, got some work done on my project here that I'll be uploading another video here soon. Now it's on to working to the miniatures, and I'm excited about that. And I'll update you guys on the miniatures. It's my favorite part, so gotta save the best for last, so you can finish strong. Um, but Yeah, so take care of yourselves. I went off on a tangent again. Take care of yourselves, both mind and body. Okay, if you gotta talk to somebody, talk to somebody. All right. Um, and like I was saying earlier, get in the gym. After all that, I still went and hit the gym. Found the motivation to get up and go. And so, if I can do it, you guys can too. All right. That being said, make sure you're also taking care of each other. That's important too. The whole point of this channel is to come together and bring each other up to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. All right, guys. So do me that favor and Help yourselves, and then help someone else too. Okay. So um thank you guys for watching as always. It means so much to me that you guys watch these videos. It really does. Because like I said, even if I can help out one person, I'm gonna do my damnedest too. So, and you guys, you guys are crushing it. You guys are really killing it, man. You guys are doing good. So just keep it up, all right? Thanks, guys. Let's continue to grow the channel, and let's let's grow the family. Okay, I consider you guys to be family, and so that's what I'm gonna call you. Okay, so let's go out and let's get some new family members. All right. So thank you guys for watching again, as always. And I'll talk to you guys soon.